Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to Building with Kind. This is episode 1. And I'll just jump straight into what I want to talk about. This is a series in which I'm going to be mainly focused on the building aspects of Minecraft, mechanics and things of that kind. Not particularly going to be talking about. Maybe they'll come up. Probably not. Gathering resources apart from when I'm doing something like this where I need to just have a little chat. Probably also going to be done off camera. So what is this series? Well, I've been looking for a project to do for a little while, and it just happened to coincide with a desire to get back into building on Minecraft, and I thought, why not add those two things together, document this build that I'm going to do. Maybe builds in the future, who knows? We'll get there when we get there. But I want this series to be a lot about the philosophy of the way that I want to build, and to be able to talk about that. For it not just to be like, cut, here's some stuff that I built, have a look at it, cut, here's some stuff that I built, have a look at it, cut. That kind of thing is not what I want to do. What I want to do is I want to be able to talk about design ideas and what I'm calling the philosophy of my way that I want to build. And I want to also show my research process within this. So it's not just going to be, hey, I've done a load of reading and I've found reference images and stuff, cut, build. I want to show you the reference images. I want to show you what I've been reading. I want to talk about that kind of thing, because that's very interesting to me, and I don't think that there's enough of that kind of part of the process put out like this. So I guess we should talk about where we are and what we're doing. So where we are is on a friend's private server. I jumped on, I had a look around, did a little bit of caving, a little bit of prep work, and then I thought I'll have a look around and I'll see what inspiration hits me. And I had a look, and this is probably the spot which gave me the most inspiration, even though it looks quite plain. I have cleaned out all of the cactus and all the dead bushes just to give it a more clean look. But what I'm thinking of doing is ancient Egyptian, kind of heavily inspired build. It's not going to be a perfect recreation of an ancient Egyptian city, but it's going to take as much as I can put into it. And what I kind of mean by that is it's going to be more form over function. So it's not going to be your traditional Minecraft base where there's like big storage warehouse, and then there's like an XP farm, and then there's like little farm areas for different items and things like that. It's going to make more sense within the world of Minecraft. So it'll be a city, and then there might be like a blacksmith building, leatherwork building, tanners, I guess you would call that, butchers, and then there is going to be farming, but it's going to be more form over function. So I'm not going to be min-maxing mechanics to try and pull as much out of the game as I can. I just want things to look as beautiful as I can. And I think form over function is probably something that is going to come up time and time again, because I think it's quite important. And I think that's part of the philosophy. I think it's important to kind of identify where on the spectrum you want your form and your function, where you want the line. So if you've got form on one side, function on the other, where in between those two things are you going to settle down? Because I think if you don't have a strong vision, a strong philosophy from the start, things can start to look a bit weird, because maybe you go for form 99%, function 1% in one area, but then you sway more to the function side. It's going to look a little less cohesive, I think, is the thing that I'm trying to put across. And I think the form over function is very important in what I want to get across, because I want something that the layman can look at and appreciate. Now, obviously, if you go there's builds that you can do, there's farms that you can make, grinders that you can make that are like excellent, they're amazing. But you have to have the context, you have to know the game of Minecraft to understand why they're so amazing. And I think what I want to do throughout this series is build something where someone who's never played this game can look at it and appreciate it. So it's going to be more of a visual feast than like a mechanics driven satisfaction. And I think that's definitely moving away from my normality. The normal way that I build, I usually slightly further towards function than form, and I think I want to push it, I want to swing it all the way to the form side. And I really want to dig deep, and I want to research, and I want to find out, how I can make this build come to life a little bit. I think that's something that I really want to do. So as I've mentioned, ancient Egyptian theme. I'm leaning more towards, so I've been researching, and I believe it's the third age of ancient Egypt was the New Kingdom moving more away from like pyramids and that kind of structure, more towards temples, which is quite interesting. I think pyramids is a little bit on the nose. You say ancient Egypt, first thing that pops into your head is pyramids. So I don't want it to be too, someone just looks at it and it's like, oh yeah, you've built a pyramid, well done. I think the way that, so we have this beautiful ridge here. I think that a temple backing onto this ridge, I'll probably show you some reference images soon of temples kind of backing on and built into mountains, which looks amazing. And that's the kind of, I want to preserve this mountain and push something into it. And I think, going on a tangent, but I think that preserving the way the land sits is also going to be quite important. I do want to slightly terraform little dips like this here, this little area here. I want to smooth them out, but I want to keep as much as the land kind of formed as it was. And I want things not only to make sense from a real world perspective, but I think I want things to make sense from a Minecraft world perspective, and I want to blend those two things in. Another example of the way I want to do that is that I want to look at building materials, right? And when you look at building materials, you may go, well, I've got, 8, however many types of wood there is. Which one should I choose? Which one best contrasts with color that I'm using? And instead of thinking like that, although I do want obviously good contrast, good colors, instead of thinking like that, I want to think like, well, if there was a city settlement built here, what would they have access to? And at the moment, they would have access to, there's plains here, so there's oak and spruce, and there is also savanna, which is acacia. And I believe that is it. There might be a roofed forest nearby somewhere, but I think that I want to stick to this acacia wood, I want to stick to oak wood, and I want to stick to spruce wood. Spruce wood is obviously great because spruce wood with the color of sand it blends very nicely. But that's what I mean in the way that I want it to make sense within the world, because they wouldn't have jungle wood here. That wouldn't make sense. Where are the people building this city? Where are they getting jungle wood from? So I want things to kind of make sense. If you're in the area, you're like, oh, they use the wood from the biome next to it. They use this from this biome, etc., etc. Let me just have a sleep. So as I was saying, temple around here, and obviously none of these plans are set in stone. Things are going to change throughout the process of this build. Temple here, and then a wall kind of coming off this way, and this way, and I'll use this back as kind of the fourth wall. And then settlement will be kind of built in a U shape around the temple. So the temple is going to be the main focus, as it would be in the ancient Egyptian cities. And I think the first thing I want to do is kind of smooth this and smooth this. And then I think this is fine here, because I'm not sure if we're even going to build the walls that far. But if we are, I mean, we can kind of follow the form here to build this wall. So I need to fill this, I need to fill this. And then we're going to do some research. We're going to look at walls. Is going to be the first thing. I think to get the wall up, to know the area that we're working within, is definitely going to be the most important thing to start this off. So I'll bring you some research very soon. Hey guys, I'm back with a little bit of research to begin with. And the first thing we need to talk about is these two different categories of urban planning within ancient Egypt. We've got the Newt or the Demi. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing these correctly, so I apologize for that. But as we see here, Newt is unplanned cities, naturally growing cities. The biggest cities, Memphis, Thebes, where Demi are basically settlements. They are towns that had a plan from the beginning, so they were more structured. And I think that the best way for us to go is probably going to be one of these more structured settlements. I think that it's probably easier to look at references of them and then to build this small enclosed walled city, rather than looking at references of large sprawling cities. I think that's going to be quite important for us to look at. I'll be back soon with a little bit more information for you. Hey everybody, I'm back with a few reference images that I found through my research to show you a bit more of the general layout that I'm looking at for this for the Egyptian settlement. So the Demi, the structured, pre-planned, smaller settlement is obviously what we're going for. So what you can see in this kind of image from Lawan city, no idea if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's a square kind of layout, and you've got what I believe would be the temple here in the middle, and then you've got some buildings surrounding it, and then a few buildings dotting the outside. And Deir el Medina, which we've got here, is an example of a city which it started as a smaller settlement, this walled settlement here, very packed in housing, and then kind of spread outwards as it grew, as you can see a bit better from this kind of overview image here. Started with this here, and then you've got cemetery, chapel, cemetery placed around it. And then we've got Bohan. This is a fortress city, but I like this shape. It's almost like a coffin shape. But what I like about this is you've got the city walls, and then within it you've got this second set of walls here. The thing I don't like about these walls is it's very much fortress walls, heavily defensible walls, which isn't the kind of thing I'm going for. I'm not going for like a aggressive like look to my city, if that makes sense. What we have here is, I believe this is within Thebes. This was a temple, Kuhan, I believe it was called. But what I'm most interested in is, first of all, you've got this, you've got an entrance here and this dip. And this dip is something that I'm definitely going to incorporate just to make it a little less square, I guess. But what I also really like about this is the whether this is just the artist impression taking a bit of liberties, or whether this is how the walls were built, but this is something which I really like, is these like rhombus, I guess they are, shapes. Some are slightly pushed in, some are slightly protruding out, and they create this effect which I really like, that shaped effect. So I think this is probably the type of wall that I'm going to try and go for, and I'm going to try and go for something like this, in which I'll have my temple walled out, and then outside of the temple I'll have the rest of the city like this. A bit less fortressy, a bit more grand entrance to what it will be the temple in here. And I'll come back to you in just 1 second, and I'll show you what I've been thinking more in relation to the actual Minecraft map. Okay guys, so first off, I've smoothed out a lot of the land. It's not completely smooth, obviously. Once I get the walls down, the inside I may bring not just to one level, but maybe just smooth it out a little bit further than it's been smoothed out now. As you can see from where I've been placing this white wool, I've kind of tried to outline where the walls are going to go. So this white on the outside will be the outer limits of the city walls, which it extends just slightly beyond render distance, which is a little bit annoying here. There we go. I think if we drop back a bit now, we'll be able to see it. Obviously, all of this is subject to change. I may increase the overall space that I'm using. And then this inside lot of white wool is what's marking out my temple wall. And as you can see, my temple wall is going to connect with this mountain here, as the temple will be pushed back into the mountain. And it's probably the plan to place some kind of grander entrance, say here, and then just use the same style of walls that I'm using for the outer walls, just to cap it off around the outside. I may play with the shape a little bit, so more of that Bruhan, slight more diagonals to it, but I'm not sure if that'll be a bit hard to pull off with the style of wall that I'm going for. But something I want to do before the end of this video, because I know it's getting a bit close to the time limit that I'm looking at, is I want to just go into a creative world, and I want to sketch out a little bit of what I want the wall to kind of look like, and get a sense of a scale of the wall. I think once I know a sense of the scale of the wall, I'll better know a sense of how much I want it to span, how much area I need in the middle. Cool, I'll be back in just 1 second, and I'll get up a little sketch of the wall for you. Okay guys, I've just popped into a creative world and I've just been sketching out some design ideas for the wall, and I'll just show you through the process that I've been going through. So I started over here with a smooth sandstone. I thought I'd start small and I thought I'd make it a little bit uneven, and I don't agree with that design. Also, this is a even design, which in building is a bit of a no-no because it's just a bit, you don't have a defined center, and when you try and do stuff like this, look, it starts here and it's not symmetrical, it doesn't pan out to ending here basically, which it should do. So it'll be off center part of the way. So I decided a little bit bigger. So the second design was this. A bit taller, 9 at the bottom, 5 at the top. Obviously 5, 9. I think the shape is a lot better. The size, I mean, look at the difference of the size. It's a lot more grand. Obviously the texture's still terrible. But then we've got these stairs to kind of more smooth it off a little bit here and here. And then I started playing with the top of the wall. None of this I was happy with though. So the third lot of design decisions I went through ended up a bit more like this, which I'm a lot happier with. Started with a base of the cut sandstone and then kind of sprinkled in these different textures just to make it a bit less boring, make it less block, big block textures, kind of cut it up a bit. And I've added these chiseled sandstone. I'm not entirely sure if I agree with that, but we'll see. So as you can see, I tried the three different types of wood that I have access to, and I definitely think that the birch is for sure the one. I think oak is close. It pops a little bit too much. I think the way the birch kind of blends in, and I'm unsure about the planks. I think the planks are going to work, but I'm not 100% settled on that yet. So I've got a little color palette here just to show you in a bit more detail. So we've got the cut sandstone, and in that I've sprinkled normal sandstone, cut sandstone. That's not meant to be in there twice. Normal sandstone, smooth sandstone, sand. And then I've gone with the logs and the planks, and obviously we've chosen the birch here. And then to top the wall, I've gone with the slab alternate design, and I've just mixed in sandstone slabs and cut sandstone slabs. And then I went through a few different thought processes with these corner pieces. Sandstone walls I kind of like, but at the same time it adds some dimension, but they kind of get lost in that bit of shadow that's created by these corners here. I do like the depth that they add, but the way they get lost, I don't quite like it as much as the way this looks here. And I did try using wood stairs as well. It's not as nice for sure. So what I might do is I might redo these two with the birch, and we'll see how that looks. So here we are with the woods all changed to the birch style, so you can get a bit better of an impression of how the wall will look. And I think it's looking very good, to be honest. One thing I did forget to mention in the last part was these additional textures I've limited to each. So if we call this, say, a block, this shape here, to each block I've limited 3. So as you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, And I think in this one there's 2 of this texture here, just not to overload it with different textures. You just want more sprinkled. You want a main texture, and then you want to sprinkle these other textures in. You want to definitely be able to see that there is one main texture, which you can definitely see with this cut sandstone. And I'm really liking the way that looks. And the good thing about this is from the other side as well, it's literally just the flip effect, which I didn't change these. The only thing I'm slightly worried with this design is how thin the wall looks with the zigzag. But I guess it's not. We spoke about fortress defense walls before. It's not like a defense wall that we're expecting to be attacked from. It's just a wall to keep the city. It's a wall to keep the city safe, but we're not expecting attack. So I think the thinness of the wall is fine. And I'm juggling back and forth, but at the moment I'm sitting on the facts that I think it's going to be fine not having a thick wall. Because the only thing that would be an advantage of having a thick wall would be a space to be able to walk on top of the wall. As it is, there's obviously no space here to create like a pathway on top of the wall. But I think that's fine, in all honesty. I think that is perfect. So I think I'm not going to have any more time today in this episode. So we're going to end it here. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you in the next episode. See ya.